What's the best part about working with an investor? They are a repeat client. Investors are always looking for people to team up with. So if you speak their language, are they going to look at you as a partner? Because you want to be able to walk with the big boys, right? You want to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk. If you're a realtor and you want to work with investors, do these 3 things. Number 1, you don't look like an investment realtor. That's the first problem. Investors are casual. What am I wearing? I'm wearing something casual. I have baggy black pants on. I'm ready to walk a property and maybe stick my head in an attic. Yep, stuck my head in a lot of attics, walked on a lot of floors, lots of, materials that were all over the place. Make sure you're wearing the right clothes when you meet up with your investor on your property. Number 2, when you post about being a realtor who works with investors, you want to make sure that you're posting about not just pretty houses, but return on investments. What are some of the terms that investors use? Capitalization rate, which is called cap rate. That just takes the net operating income, the money that's left in their pocket at the end, divided by the purchase price. And investors love a 10 cap. So if you say, hey, are you looking for a 10 cap in your area? You're going to get their attention. So now you have to make sure you know what a 10 cap is. So do your research. So the second thing I want to tell you to do your research. So you want to make sure that you're going on things like Bigger Pockets. You're looking at, I have a bunch of material that you can learn about. You can go online. Have you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? What's that you say? All right, go download it right now, either on Audible or go buy it on Amazon. It's good to have in your collection. That's a great one, because this is really about the third thing, mindset. So you have to have a mindset and think like an investor. So how do you get that mindset? Well, if you're saying to yourself, oh, I can't do that, or I'm not really good with the numbers, wrong mindset. So how do you change a limiting belief, that's a limiting belief, into an empowering belief? All right, get a piece of paper, get a pen. I'll wait. Why am I waiting? Because I want you to take action. It's really the 4th thing, and I said I know there's only 3, but the 4th thing is all about taking action. All right, so you have your pen, you have your paper. I want you to write down every limiting belief that you have. Things like, I'm not good with numbers, I don't understand investment properties, which might be to have your own investment portfolio, or maybe you already have some investment properties and you want to grow that portfolio. It's about your mindset. It's about understanding the things that are stopping you and turning those limiting beliefs, use your pen, write a list. Now you have your empowering beliefs. You're going to take that statement and you're going to write the opposite statement. I'm not good with numbers. Your empowering belief is, I'm great with numbers. And you show yourself an example of something you've done in the past. Like, remember when I crushed it on that 3rd grade math test? Yeah, I was number 1 in the class. Yes, it was a long time ago. Doesn't matter. Your brain needs to hear positivity. Your brain needs to know that you're working towards something positive. So turn all your limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs. The other thing you can do is you can go to a local meetup. So meetups in your area, just go on meetup.com. Best way to find it. You're looking for a local RIA meeting, Real Estate Investor Association. So the local RIA meetings has actual what in the room? Investors. So how many realtors do you think attend investor meetups? Not many, if maybe none at all. So are you going to stand out in that room if you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you've listened to a few of these videos, you've been online searching what it means to be a real estate investor, you've researched the terms that I talked about, cap rate, capitalization rate, cash on cash return, what maybe a rent roll is, what a return on your investment is. Why does a 10 cap mean so much to an investor? And why am I always saying, if the numbers work, buy it? That's the number 1 thing. If those numbers work and you know how to talk to an investor that way, and you're at a local meetup and you start engaging with people and you start using some of the new terms that you found out, or maybe you've deepened your knowledge, you feel like you're more of an expert, you feel more confident about this, start that conversation. That was the big turning point for me, because here's another thing I want you to remember. You can always help an investor really create wealth by helping them with a roadmap. So I created something where when you sit down with an investor, you have an intake form, maybe 45 minutes of an intake form, and you ask them a bunch of questions. You're going to ask them what's important to you: cap rate, cash on cash return, cash flow, what's important to you as an investor. And then you're going to ask them about 25 more questions that's on a buyer intake form. Now, when you're asking these questions, do you think that investor is going to think to themselves, this person really knows what they're talking about. I should definitely be working with this person as my realtor. Yes, yes, and yes, because you're speaking their language. So you can have a script when you're on a phone call with somebody. You can ask them questions. You can reach out and say, hey, Lenora, where's that buyer intake form you were talking about? Fine, I'll send it to you. Set up a call. I'll send it to you. I'll walk you through it. There's so much to tell you about and so much to learn, but I know that when you sit down and you start educating yourself, when you start understanding the language of investment, when you start being able to walk an investor through how to create a roadmap so that they can really build their wealth in an intentional way. Who says that? What realtor says that to an investor? Hey, I want to help you build your wealth in an intentional way. Nobody, but you do. So you're going to start using these terms and saying these things, and your whole life's going to change, because you're not just buying one house and 7 years later getting a call from their, spouse's sister and saying, hey, I want to buy another house. No, they're saying, let's do that again. Let's do that again. So this is why it's so critical to build your investor pipeline, to really understand, because investors are repeat buyers. You get to work with them all the time. You get to understand their family. You get to understand their goals, dreams, and aspirations. How rewarding is it for me when I see an investor that I started with who maybe bought their first investment property with me 4 years ago, and they bought a 2-unit, then they bought a 3-unit, then they bought a 4-unit, then they continue to escalate. And guess what? At some point, they're like, you know what? Let's sell those 2 little ones that we bought right out of the gate. I'm going to take that money and I'm going to reinvest it into something bigger, maybe a 10-unit. There's nothing like it. And by the way, I'm learning more about how to be an investor myself. So not only am I helping my clients, but I'm building my own portfolio along the way. You can always reach out to me. Make sure you sign up below. Keep staying connected to us. Just go do the work. You can do this. Call me and let's set up a time to talk, and I'll walk you through that buyer intake form. Let's go.